everyone, this is Jessie. When you're trying to make a transformational change in your life, there are some emotional barriers, some symptoms that I wish somebody would have really told me about. Probably would have saved me a ton of time and a lot of heartache, even though some of that heartache is completely necessary in the process. But I feel like I would have had a lot less if somebody would have warned me about some of the things I was about to experience. So that's what I'm going to do for you. The first thing is say goodbye to most of your friends, because most of them have probably been enabling you with bad habits, and misery loves company. So they are not going to let go of you. They are used to your identity of who you are, and they are not going to let go of you without a fight. So some of them, depending on how extreme of a toxic person that they are, they will tell you all the reasons why you shouldn't do it, it's not possible, it won't work, whether you ask their opinions or not. They will try to hold you down, and the biggest reason is because they don't know how to do change in their own life. They're not willing to take the action and be uncomfortable enough to make a difference. And so they're going to want to tell you that it's not going to work. So you need to be willing and committed to yourself and to the change that you're trying to make, to literally be willing to disconnect from anyone or anything that is not going to get you to where you want to go. And that's a lot easier said than done. I realize that sometimes it's a friend that you've known for a really long time, a family member, or a lover that you have that you really care about. And of course, I always encourage you to sit down with them and let them know, hey, these are the reasons why I'm trying to do this, and I really need your support. I need somebody that I can call and rely on when it gets really tough and hard, and I need some motivation. I need someone to remind me of my strengths and my reason why I'm doing this, because if I don't, I'm going to have a higher risk of giving up. And if you've made a lot of progress, you don't want to forfeit all of that progress simply because of a bad day or feeling a little down. So if they're not willing to be that person, you need to be dedicated enough and love yourself enough to simply let them go or distance yourself if you can't completely disconnect from the relationship. So number 2 is letting go of your own identity. That was really tough for me. I didn't have any idea that I was going to have a hard time of saying goodbye to the old Jessie. I grew up with this girl. I knew everything about this girl, especially on the surface. And when I had to start leaving pieces of myself in the past, it was really difficult because I had so many questions, a lot of insecurities and fears inside of me that I didn't really know how to handle. So some of the things that were going through my head was, if I become who I'm trying to be, am I even going to love who I am when I get there, or am I going to have to start from scratch and feel like I've completely wasted all this time and effort? So that was scary. But also, I'm comfortable with who I was, more or less. I mean, obviously it wasn't working for me to want to change, but that girl I knew, and this new Jessie I don't know, and I don't know if I'm going to like the new friends that I've attracted into my life. I wasn't going to know who should I turn to if I get stuck, which again is why it's important to have a great support circle in your life. But all of these things were really holding me back and having me procrastinate and make excuses as to why I shouldn't take action and get to my goal. So I need to have the courage to be able to let go of who I was, to be able to become who I wanted to be. And it's not easy. It was painful at times, but it was necessary. And I think anybody who has achieved a big goal in their life has had to do it. So a lot of people, I think, can relate. And even though you might feel alone, there are plenty of people out there that can share their experience and let you know what maybe worked for them. I know for me, there was a lot of negative self-talk inside my head. And so that brings me to my third point of, there's so much negativity on the outside of your mind, so you don't really need to be encouraging it inside of your mind. So anytime I wasn't encouraging myself, kind of caught myself telling myself lies, I would literally write down what I was thinking and then write down the opposite and say it out loud. And sometimes I had to say it out loud quite a few times. And especially in the beginning, it wasn't easy. It was hard to say. It wasn't the most ideal thing I wanted to be doing, but it helped a lot to get me to what I was trying to do. So the next thing I might be able to suggest is, what is the alternative to making that big change? And that's where I scared myself into taking some actual action into what I wanted, because the alternative was so scary to me that it made me feel like I was going to lose myself. If I didn't change, I was going to lack enthusiasm in just about anything in my life. I was going to be disconnected from people. I would feel empty inside. And that was scarier than anything else. I let people walk all over me because I was too scared to exercise my right to say no, to have healthy boundaries, to even to be able to connect with myself, to know if I had a problem with something. So if I didn't change, I wasn't moving forward. If I wasn't moving forward, then I wasn't going anywhere. And that was super important for me to have progress in my life, to be able to feel like I was accomplishing something and not wasting my time. So I realized that if I didn't change, I was actually choosing certainty, familiarity, over being comfortable for the possibility to have a better life. I would rather be in my comfort zone than taking a little bit of risk and making some changes. And I guess I did that because I didn't feel like I was good enough, that people wouldn't like me, that people wouldn't love who I was or accept me for who I was. So I didn't take action. I procrastinated, and I chose not to do anything about it. But when I realized these things, I scared myself into taking action. So it was a huge epiphany for me to be able to do that. And I think most people won't do that. And that's why society will encourage us to become slaves. I mean, if you're not connected with your emotions, that you're not standing up for yourself, then you are, in fact, a slave. And again, that scared me into wanting to make a difference in my life. I think that when it all comes down to it, the pain is necessary. It's not as horrible as you think, but it definitely feels horrible in the moment. And yes, it hurts. Growth hurts. Whenever you're trying to improve yourself, if you don't have pain, you don't have gain. And you need to shed your old self to be able to birth the new you. For your life to be more fulfilling and to be closer, you have to remove the bad habits, the limiting beliefs, and the attachment to who you are. And that's hard, why most of society won't do it. You have to detach and remove the past from your soul. Create the future within yourself and get away from your fears, and you'll realize that you're a lot stronger than you thought you were. Really, you have to make the choice, and it is the choice. Everyone who accomplishes something had to have a vision of what they wanted and had to choose to do it. And when you don't, you're inviting a ton of misery into your life. I cannot emphasize how horrible this downward spiral can get and how scary it can be for you and your family, those who are around you. So I just encourage you to have the courage to take small changes. every day. So just to give you an example, when I decided I wanted to have a better health, I wanted to increase my energy, I wanted to feel better physically. And I'll tell you, you have to have faith that the changes are going to be noticeable, because in the first couple days, even weeks, sometimes months, you don't see those changes right away. You don't see, with fitness, your body isn't quite reacting as quickly as you'd like it to be. So you actually have to have faith that what you're doing is in fact good for you and it will give you the results that you want. So you have the power to control at least 1% of any situation, no matter what it is. There is something that you can do here and now to get that momentum going through the upward spiral. So to give you an example, I wanted to increase my health. At the time, I didn't have the finances to be able to afford a gym membership. So I did a little bit of research about what could impact me the most and decided to start drinking more water, to start hydrating myself every day. And so I increased my intake. It went from practically nothing to 3 liters to about 8 liters to, I tried to do the gallon a day challenge, and that was really difficult for me to do. And personally, I don't think that a gallon was necessary for my lifestyle because I work in an office quite a bit. So 3 to 5 liters was definitely making a difference in my life. I was sleeping better. I was feeling more energized. You could see that I had better skin, that it was helping me get the nutrients in my body better. It was actually helping me control my weight because I would feel full after drinking a ton of water, and it would help my digestive system, which was helping my metabolism. It was just this domino effect. I wanted to build my strength, so I decided to do 10 push-ups a day, and again, those first couple days were really difficult because I didn't see any results at first. But I figured 10 push-ups a day, I can handle that. That's simple enough that I can do it. And eventually, after a couple of days, realized that I wanted to do 20 and then 30 a day. And then started creating a more complex routine at home using just regular dumbbells. I mean, a very small little investment. And went from there, and eventually I actually had gained 15 pounds of muscle in 6 months. Now, of course, by that time, I had gregarious amounts of protein that I was intaking every day, and my workouts were about 2-3 hours and as efficient as possible. But you don't get to that level right away. It takes time. It takes consistency. It takes self-discipline. It takes being willing to do the work. And there are no shortcuts. You have to do the work. So I encourage you to just buckle down, get rid of the toxic stuff in your life, get rid of the bad habits, get rid of the decay, and start focusing on growth and focusing on the things that you do want, not the things you don't want. That is huge. And if you notice by the end of this little chat, that the majority of the things I'm talking about are all mental. The majority of the stuff that is going to give you the most results the fastest is your mentality. It's all in your head. It's motivating yourself to get up, to do it, to not be lazy, and it will come. If you do it every day, it will always come. So I wish somebody would have told me these things in the beginning. You know, I'm sure some people probably did. I probably had a few of these pieces already, but I didn't take it to heart. I didn't put it into action. I kind of just let it go in one ear and out the other, and I wish I would have listened. But thankfully, I learned and I started doing it, and I saw a huge difference. So if you're trying to do a transformational change, I hope that some of these tips will help, and maybe this might inspire somebody to take action. You can choose to start at any time. Today is always the best, because if you focus on the things that you can do today, that will impact tomorrow. It doesn't even have to be, where am I going to be in 5 years? Of course, start asking yourself those questions and getting to know yourself, but what can you do today to make tomorrow better? Let's start with today. Let's do baby steps and work on tomorrow.